Welcome to Karate 360. I'm one of your hosts, Richard Mosdell.
I'm the other host, Kalan Anglos.
Thanks a lot for listening to episode 21. And remember, there's a ton of events coming up. There are the Canadian National Championships in Quebec City, February the 24th to 26th. There's also the Arnold Classic Arnold Expo. It's the next week. I think it's March 3rd, 4th, and 5th in Columbus, Ohio. And then there's something happening in the States in April.
There's the biggest tournament in North America, the U.S. Open, from April 14th to 16th in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Wait a minute. Are you making a mistake? Isn't the biggest tournament in North America going to be the Canada Open on June 3rd and 4th in Vancouver at the amazing Richmond Olympic Oval?
That's right. The previously most popular tournament in North America, the U.S. Open.
That's right. Well, we hope they're both popular and everyone goes to both. So let's start the show. Karate 360, let's start the show. You will kick high and I will sweep low from local to global. It's the thing that we love. Karate! Sanrokumaru.
We are back in studio at Karate 360 Kenzen studio.
That's right, from our golden tower outside in golden letters at 30,000 feet. It's awesome to be here. It was snowing.
It was snowing. I couldn't believe February. Well, today's February 3rd, and it was snowing.
That's right.
I'm over it.
So you're over it.
I'm over it.
That's right. You can tell that we're not really from Canada because when we see snow, we go, what the heck is that?
That's right. And it's funny around here on the West Coast, when it snows even a little bit, everybody forgets how to drive. Everybody freaks out and
That's right.
Can't get anywhere.
That's right.
It's just a mess.
Rain here in beautiful Victoria is washing everything away. So do you know how to say snow in Japanese?
Snow.
No? Yuki.
Yuki? Okay.
Yuki, like the name. You can be a Yuki for a boy, Yuki for a girl.
Okay.
Different kanji spelling, of course.
Yuki.
There
used to be an athlete on the BC team named Yuki.
That's right.
Yep.
This is such an amazing week because the logo for the Canada Open has been decided.
Yes, I saw it.
It's amazing.
It's really good. It's sleek. It's great.
That's right. Actually, by the time by the time everyone's hearing this, we might even have it up on the website.
That's awesome.
Was going through the online registration with the company, and February 15th is our target day. 3 groups of people have contacted me from Japan to go, hey, we're bringing a group. We're bringing a team.
That's great.
I'm going to do Kabuto. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And they're like, what the heck is a flying sidekick test? And that's going to be awesome when people actually see how much fun that is to do on the side of the arena.
Oh, I can't wait. I've been practicing my vertical jump and my vertical kick
on.
and everything. It's going to be great.
Well, shout out to Curtis Gerlinger because he cleared like 5'7" or 5'8" back in like year 2000, 2001. He was on the BC team.
Long time ago.
So you're going to clear it, right?
Shattered.
That's right. Drug testing after for Kalan.
That's right.
Performance enhancing.
Don't worry about it.
Just down the road from us is the National Rowing Training Center, where they have at Pisces they have that pressurized dome.
Right.
So it's like we're at sea level, so that would be like training at altitude.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So the Canada Open is definitely happening alive in the mix. Yeah, it's going to be really exciting, and everyone can register just online. So, here's this tricky thing we've been dealing with is that, okay, your club instructor can register you online. So we're in the registration form, we're having a sheet. You can have it internally for the club. You can write down everybody's names, their divisions, and then they take the money, and then the club instructor sits down at the computer and just logs everybody in. However, what if you're like in Chattanooga, or you're in Delaware, and all alone, or you're the only person from the dojo that's going to go.
Yeah.
Your grandparents are giving you the money for Christmas, and your parent says, yeah, I'm going to take you there, and your instructor's like, what? I don't know anything about this. So you can register by yourself. So you can register as an individual. Now, here's the thing. You register, but then you didn't know that your coach from Chattanooga or Delaware is also taking a team. So what do you do when you write in the name? Let's say you're the Chattanooga Karate Club, and then your instructor goes on and registers 50 people from the Chattanooga Karate Club. You have 2 Chattanooga Karate Clubs. So we've been trying to think about what to do about that situation. Can you make a suggestion? We think we've got a solution, but I want to see if you have a suggestion.
Well, I mean, couldn't you just combine them? If it's the same club, could you not just assume they're coming from the same club and they are coming together? Like, why would they have to submit them together in order to be together?
Well, you might not know that they're doing it. Or what if a parent registers, because some parents are super enthusiastic, they register the moment it goes online, whereas the club instructor is waiting to get all the names on the sheet before they do it. Because, people, do they read emails all the way from top to bottom?
Absolutely not.
Yes. So I was just joking with our team manager about parents asking questions, not athletes, but parents asking questions that's obviously in front of them on a piece of paper. And we're saying, should this 10 push-up rule for asking a dumb question go to parents as well?
I love that rule.
What we think, and talking to the registration company, they deal with lots of different sports. They said, you can add in a name, but then after the admin can go in and maybe merge it if it looks like it's the same club. Yeah. So that's, I think, what we'll do.
But either way, talk to your club instructor if you're planning on coming.
Please talk to your club instructor. Bring them along. Bring some officials. So that is front and center. I also have to make an announcement.
Ooh.
Am I allowed to make this announcement? I already put it on social media.
Oh, announce away.
Announce away. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenzen Sports Karate is pleased to announce, drumroll please, we have hired somebody to work for us full-time from March 1st.
What?
I'm serious.
That must be quite the gig. That guy's a lucky guy. Or girl, whoever it is.
Well, in this case, it is a guy.
Oh.
And he's a lucky guy. And, everybody, the suspense is killing you. Kalan, welcome aboard.
Yes. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to come on board. I'm super excited to work with you, to work with Kenzen, to work with Karate BC and just karate in general. We've talked before. We're both kind of ambassadors of the sport, and I think we're just going to take off with it. So I'm super excited, and it's great. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming. Been thinking about it quite a bit.
Yeah,
the club is growing, and I think what we need to do is double down and add quality and capacity
for sure
to the club. And bringing you on board is great. Everybody who founded the club, like Kraig and Nick, are super excited. So, onwards and upwards to fantastic stuff.
Onwards and upwards. It's been a busy week. I mean, we've had a lot happen, a lot come together, and still more happening. It's great.
That's right. So, tell me about something in your week.
Well, by the time this comes out on Monday morning,
yes,
we will have finished the end of season fitness testing for the Team BC athletes.
Hoo-ha, end of season.
End of season.
Right on.
It's going to be good. We have, I think, 104 athletes lined up on Saturday in Vancouver.
Wow.
And then on Sunday in Kelowna, shout out to Rodney and head coach Mike Ditson. They're going to handle the fitness testing for probably only about 10 athletes up there. So in total, we should have about 114 or 115 athletes have their end of season fitness testing. And of course, the goal of this is to improve on your beginning of season fitness testing. So again, that's just coming down this weekend. So getting all that done.
It's going to be great to see if there's a difference.
It's going to be great. It's going to be interesting. Once I put it all together and see here is your beginning of season score, here's your end of season score, we should see improvements. If you were training as hard as you should have been training for national championships, there should be improvements. So it'll be good to see. And what's really exciting too is talking with head coach Mike Ditson is at the national championships as well, maybe a couple days before they actually compete, we are going to look at just a couple of the more non-fatiguing tests like the vertical jump, and we might even do the medicine ball toss and see where they're at pre-competition, when you should be peaked to your absolute peak. Where are you in terms of your actual fitness scores on those things? So that's going to be really exciting to look at as well.
That'll be great to see, if they've been training and stuff, and then how that works. I know possibly at the Karate Canada meeting of all the high performance directors with the High Performance Committee for Canada, there may be the possibility you may be part of a presentation.
That's right. So at the national championships, it looks like we are going to be presenting. I'll be presenting the fitness test battery that we put together, and we'll be presenting it to the high performance committees for all the provinces, all the head coaches and that kind of thing, because what they're talking about potentially doing is using this fitness test for all the provinces right across Canada and even on the national team and that kind of thing. So that'd be great. A lot of the coaches on the national team have done fitness testing of some sort as well. So we're kind of looking at the tests that they've already done, trying to see where they line up with what we've already put together, and probably hopefully merge them as well, so we can give the best package that we possibly can to test the national team athletes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what are the 6 or 7 you have on the test? Can you just give me the names of them?
Yeah, so the 6 or 7 tests that we have, it starts with a flexibility test, a groin flexibility, a split flexibility test. We have an agility test, the T test. We have anaerobic capacity, which is the 300-meter shuttle. We have the vertical jump. We have the medicine ball toss, and then of course we have everybody's favorite, the beep test.
Beep, beep, beep.
The beep test.
Yes.
And the cool thing about all these is they've either already been validated through other sports as, measuring whatever it is, agility, anaerobic capacity, whatever the measure is. They've already been validated, except for a couple, and those couple we are in the process right now of doing studies to validate them. So they will be validated. So that's good, because one thing we wanted to make sure, and especially at the Karate Canada level, is that we're measuring we're actually measuring something, and whatever the test is measuring what we're trying to measure. So, for example, they're talking a little bit about one of the tests they did was a 30-second sprint test is a test that they just kind of did, where you just sprint for 30 seconds. And then I was kind of talking with a couple of the coaches and the high performance committee a little bit, and I said, well, what exactly are we trying to measure with a 30-second sprint?
Mm-hmm.
That's not really a standardized test that measures anything. Sure, it pushes you to your capacity and it pushes you quite far, and of course you're going to get your heart rate up, but we're not really measuring any energy system. Why are we doing a 30-second sprint when we should maybe be doing just like a 40-meter sprint, which is used in almost every single sport as an assessment for speed? So, they're kind of thinking, that might not be a bad idea to include that. So that's just one thing we need to do. We just need to make sure that whatever test we choose and whatever is on there is that it's actually measuring what we want to measure.
No, that makes sense. Well, this is great because you could be a recreational athlete, you could be an advanced brown black belt class.
Yeah.
You could be thinking about training for competition. You could be recreational athlete, high performance. When you can see this data afterwards, it's really going to give you an idea of what you should be doing.
Totally.
Right?
And what's really cool too is that we've got the different levels of this fitness test, right? So we have the level 1 for the club level. If you're just kind of going through the traditional style, trying to get your next belt or whatever it is, you can do it in the club, real basic tests. And then we have the level 2, which is what we did at the provincial, and we're thinking about doing at the national level, where it's a little bit more advanced. And then hopefully down the road, what we want to do is implement the level 3, which is, the granddaddy of fitness tests. Like an actual VO2 max test, which we still have to get you in for, by the way. Actual VO2 max test, an actual Wingate anaerobic test, that kind of thing. So a little bit more fun lab-based test as well. So there's 3 different levels, right? From, a white belt who just started recreational karate all the way up to an elite athlete trying to get to the Olympics. So that's what's really cool about this whole fitness test battery.
It's going to crush me. No, I'm going to crush it.
You're going to crush it. Yeah.
Right on, man. That's awesome.
No, it's been super exciting. And I mean, it's been a lot of work for both of us and a lot of people to put this whole thing together. So now that it's finally, getting some recognition and getting out there, we're getting data. We're actually getting quite a bit of stuff. It's amazing.
I think the thing is, you are studying this from the science side.
Yes.
My thing is just, how can it be really clear and obvious within 10 seconds of telling somebody?
For sure.
Right? Where are we shaking it out?
Yeah.
So
I know when we were first going through the first drafts, being in the more science aspect of it, I got a little carried away with the explanations and some of the terms in there. And you said, okay, nobody's going to understand what this means. So let's just tell them real basically what this is. Yeah, that probably makes sense. Maybe we should just say, this measures your fitness capacity or whatever.
No, this is good because I'm an ideas guy, but I'm not a detail oriented guy. Right? Unless it comes to like kata or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So this works well. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited.
I'm super excited. And again, by the time this comes out Monday morning, we'll have even more data from beginning of end season. So I think in total, we'll have close to, with all the athletes that were going in the original batch, about close to 200 different athletes that we've tested.
A lot of information.
A lot of data, and it's going to be good because then again, we can just compile all the data and see where everybody's at.
That's fantastic. Well, in terms of talking about new stuff, we grabbed a new person. We're grabbing a new person to have a little interview with.
Absolutely, yeah.
We have got assistant national team coach and co-founder of Kenzan Sports Karate, Kraig Devlin, in the building.
Yes, that's right. And of course, Craig's fresh off the K1 Karate1 in Paris Open. That was just happened a couple weekends ago. He was there with the Karate Canada, the national team, some athletes that were represented there. So yeah, we're going to have a little bit of a chat with him and talk a little bit about his experience, but just great to have that to draw on.
Yeah, so let me share you some stories about Kraig Devlin.
Yeah, I'm sure you got a few of them.
When Kraig passed his black belt, I passed my yellow belt.
Okay, wow.
So I've known him since I was a little kid. For me, he's a couple, I think he's only 2-3 years older than I am. Maybe not even that. But so, when he passed his black belt and I was a yellow belt, I was like, he was like one of the heroes for me in the club.
Wow.
Always, super nice, never a bad word, but trained really hard, really dedicated. I never hung out with Kraig socially because he was different school. He was older.
Sure.
But he and I both had mullets.
Oh, God.
It's
so
true.
You're dating yourself a little bit.
There are pictures out there. I had a beautiful mullet, by the way.
Did you?
It was gorgeous. I have to tell you something.
Okay.
I did not have a redneck mullet.
No?
Oh, no. Mine was beautiful. Business in front, party in the back.
Did you have a leather jacket and go, hey?
No. I was more of like the Miami Vice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not the Joe Dirt?
No, I was the opposite.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I didn't blow dry the back of it or anything like that. It was more like gelled. So Kraig and I became really good friends, especially in the first association when I passed my showdown. He had just passed his knee down. And then when I was like green belt and stuff, there was a bunch of black belts in his group, and I was like, I'm going to crush those guys. I'm just going to crush those guys. And when I got to be a brown belt, and I actually started training with them. Over the years, Kraig and I have been to Japan together. We've competed at the World Cup there for Wado. We got on the BC team at the same time.
Okay.
Kraig's super fit, right? One year I was in Vancouver, and he'd gone down to Seattle and run like the marathon, right? And then I picked him up at the airport, and he's like, all right, let's go train.
No.
Like the next day. He also kind of looks like Brad Pitt, which is not fair. Yeah, when we were like university kids and we'd go to a tournament, he would literally get groupie girls, like groupies would be chasing him. I'd be like, hey, what about me? What about me?
Come on.
And before competing, Kraig would lie flat somewhere on the floor and like listen to meditation tapes and almost completely fall asleep. That was his way of dealing with being focused for competition.
Sure, yeah.
Right? And I'm the exact opposite. As you can tell. I am hyperactive. I'm always having to rein it in. So I would like always just be watching the tournament constantly, where he was like sleeping somewhere in the back.
Right.
That time he came from Seattle to Vancouver, we were in the car. It was like sunny. The windows were down. We stop at this red light, and this car with a boatload of girls drives up beside us and goes, hey, what are you guys doing today? I was like, Kraig, this is not fair. This never happens to me. Never, ever happens to me at all. We've competed against each other in tournaments, and there was, of course, as soon as we get in there, I'm of course going to muck up, so just mess with him. So we stepped on the floor. They said, Hajime, Shoba Hajime. And I looked at him, and I looked at his belt, your belt's untied. And he looked down and bam, scored.
That's just cruel.
So cruel. He looked at me like, Kraig doesn't get angry, right?
Yeah.
So he just looked at me like, oh man, it's going to be one of those. There was another time we were competing, and we were kind of just going back and forth. And I did a uramoashi, and I landed it perfect slap. It was really, really loud. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Andy Holmes sensei was the center referee, and he was like, that's a nice kick. He actually said it loud to him. Gave me the point.
Said it's a nice kick.
And like after that,
just to rub it in his face.
And I think I have it on video somewhere. And it was either he or the guy right behind him said, you can hear, that's a nice kick. And then Kraig looks at me and like, Hajime, and just takes me out with a chudam once you get into the ribs.
Had enough of that.
Yeah, he's like, I'm taking this back. So in Japan in 2011, after the March 11th major earthquake, so we get out of Japan for a while. I'm back here, and that's at the point I started thinking like maybe I shouldn't live in Japan, like maybe we should leave.
Okay.
And so when I was in Japan for 10 years, Kraig was the only guy who made time, like basically once a month for an hour to talk to me on Skype. Of all my friends, he was the one who emailed me back right away. And I was like, hey, can we talk sometime? He would make time, be at the thing. I could tell him everything I was going through because I went through a lot when I was over there.
Sure.
Way more than I've spoken about. And then he could tell me, because he was transitioning from a national team athlete to a junior assistant coach, I think for the junior team athletes, and then to a senior. And so he was going through that transition period as well as finishing off the high performance diploma with the National Coaching Institute. Okay. So we were sharing a lot because we were having really different experiences. There I am in like this high pressure, high performance ecosystem of Tokyo, right? And then he is, now starting to operate at the international level where like every 6 or 8 weeks he started going to, or 2 or 3 months or something, he would be going to some big event. And so it was great. So for, we've always been connected through karate. We've always hung out, seeing each other's kids born and stuff like that. And then when I started thinking about coming back, we started talking about, well, let's have a club together. We always thought, let's have a club together. Like we share the name Kenzen. When he had a part-time club in Victoria for kids, he called it Kenzen. And we've always shared this connection that we're going to have the same name of the same club and move forward together. So he started thinking, why don't you think about coming here and maybe getting a full-time job, and then we'll start a part-time club together. But as we started thinking about it more and how excited, we thought, no, why don't we just open our own full-time location? And I'll just dedicate my life to teaching full-time. And then Kraig is a captain for the fire department, so he's got his 40s on, 40s off, and he's still coaching for the national team. So he'll dedicate, like once or twice a week, he'll come in and teach.
Yeah.
And as the club's grown, we've just persevered together. With lots of help, as you've seen. You've seen us since, we opened in September 2014, and you joined the club in September 2015. So you've been around for a year and a half. So you've seen quite a bit. Yeah. So that's, And so now we're just rocking and rolling and training and working out together and trying to be interchangeable on the floor for all the kids and stuff.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I was coming up as an athlete as well, Kraig was the first. He was the zone coach, and then he was also one of the provincial kumite coaches as well. So that was kind of my first kind of experience with Kraig, and it was always great. I mean, Kraig he's always pretty straightforward with you. He doesn't get rattled. He'll just tell you kind of the way it is. It was always really good. But the kumite trainings was obviously always the best, obviously, with him, because he would always break everything down. He's very good at breaking down the techniques. This is how you need to do it. This is how you need to score the point. He's also always at the top of all the technological things, and he's always at the top and the cutting edge of what's going on. So he used to always bring in these different aspects. And actually, I can't say for sure whether Kraig was the one that got me onto the kind of fitness aspect of karate, but he was certainly one of them for sure, because I remember years and years and years ago when I was an athlete on the BC team, Kraig actually gave me a training program that they were doing with the national team, I think before they were going to Colorado, I think. Mm-hmm. They were going somewhere where there was altitude, so he had given them kind of a training program, and he did it. And the next day I started the training program.
Oh, that's awesome.
The way it was going. Yeah. And I thought, holy crap, this is hard. But no, it was great. And actually one of the tests that he did on the athletes, I still use for myself in my own training.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, just very knowledgeable guy, and it's great to have him here in studio for sure.
All right, we got him blushing ear to ear. So without further ado, let's talk about the Paris Open with our great friend Kraig Devlin. Kraig has not only just come back from the Paris Open as one of the Canadian coaches there, and we're going to chat with him. But, here he is, one of the founders of Kenzen Sports Karate.
Yeah, and and having worked with Kraig before, obviously, a great tool to have, somebody to kind of pick your brain, obviously knows
Calling me a tool?
A great aspect. I don't know, somebody who knows all about karate. I remember even when I was an athlete coming up with the provincial team, it was, anything we needed to know, we'd always kind of go for you. So thanks for joining us, Kraig. It's great to have you. You're fresh off the Paris Open. I'm sure you've got lots of ideas and things flying through your head. just fresh off a long flight as well, and I hear you're not feeling the greatest. So we do appreciate you coming in and talking about your experience in Paris.
All right, thanks for having me again.
Where'd you stay?
We stayed at a little apartment hotel right across the river from the venue. So this is the second Paris Open I've been to. I think the last one was about 5 years ago. And it's about 5 clicks from the Eiffel Tower, 10 clicks from downtown. And all the host hotels are right in that area. It's perfect.
I think I saw a picture of you walking to the Eiffel Tower.
I did, yeah. I need to, when I hit the ground, when I'm traveling, I always need to do a little bit of walking first thing before things get kicked off.
I think one of my favorite things from all the athletes that went to the Paris Open was all the awkward pictures trying to get, in front of the Eiffel Tower, trying to get them and the Eiffel Tower in and just getting, half of it in.
It's pretty classic, yeah. It's either right up from the feet, or the other one is to go up to Trocadero Plaza and then make a picture kicking the top of the tower.
Okay.
That's a standard one as well.
So where was the Paris Open held?
It's always been in the Stadium Pierre de Coubertin, who's the father of modern Olympics, and it's a handball stadium. Can fit 6 rings. They put 5 into it. It's got nice steep sides and a glass front. It's a good stadium. You feel like you're really close, and the seats go up at least 5 stories, very steep. So it's really nice to watch there.
What's handball?
You're doing handball. It's huge. Actually, Paris was hosting, I think, the World Handball Championships when we were there. It's a big deal. You know how you see hockey on TV here? You see handball on TV there. You turn on, it's handball. Oh. You haven't seen it? You can do a podcast on handball. The coaches are right there. It's more intense than basketball.
I don't know. Handball 360 doesn't quite have the same sound.
Well, when you say hockey, remember, this is an international audience, so they're thinking field hockey.
Oh, yeah, that's
but
true.
We're in Canada, it's ice hockey. When I always say hockey in Japan, they always say, oh, it's field hockey. Well, this is great. You were there 5 years ago. You were there just last weekend. So how does it compare?
So the Paris Open has, I think, always been the flagship for the Open WKF events. When the Karate1 series came on in 2012, again, I think the Turkish Open and the Paris Open were the 2 main ones. Recently, in the last few years, I think the political events in Turkey have kind of taken the bite out of that event. I think the participation is a little bit lower. So really right now, the Paris Open is the flagship event. And more recently, since the inclusion, so we've got the Karate1 Premier League and the Karate1 Series A. And so the Premier League is the Paris Open, the Dutch Open, Morocco, Dubai. And then on the Series A side, they've put in Istanbul, Okinawa. There's Salzburg as well. So on the Premier League, they're the bigger ones. So really, it's bigger, more intense competition, same feel. This event was obviously record-setting with the attendance, well over 1,200 athletes there. Some events were huge, 150 competitors in there, 8 pools. So really, how it compared was much more attendance and much higher skill levels.
Now, how much of that do you think has to do with the announcement that now karate is in the 2020 Olympics?
Hard to say. I think personally that it was significant. The 2 biggest participating countries were Italy and France. I would have to look year by year to see really what it meant, but for sure, being that it's an open, like there were 350 individual clubs registered there. They don't in the karate ones. They don't talk about nations. They say where you're from, but it used to be at the end they would give nation stats, but they stopped doing that at the middle of last year. So it's really just about an open high-level club tournament. So when you have 350 clubs coming out, most of them from Europe, I'm sure at that club level they're thinking about qualifying. Most certainly from the Japanese end, when the Japanese send 41 athletes, there's something going on with their selection process, and they got a bunch of money, I'm sure.
So for you, when you're there, what was sort of your main duty to do? And then what did you think of the quality of the competition, or was there something, this was great about kumite I saw, or I saw something that I hadn't seen before? So,
so as an assistant kumite coach, I'm working with athletes. So we usually arrive, spend some time just getting used to the jet lag. This is one of the things with being from North America, is that we have to deal from the West Coast. We're dealing with 8 or 9 hours, depending if it's daylight savings. If you're coming from the East Coast, it's either 5 or 4 hours. So really it's a couple days just to get acclimatized. Logistical details, finding places to eat, grocery stores, places to train. And then as always, the day before the event kicks off, there's the registration. I did the WKF coach accreditation. So now with these Karate1 and Series A, you have to be an accredited coach or a certified coach. So you have to sit through an educational session. It's mostly conduct and rules and that kind of stuff. On the ground, so helping run sessions, I get tasked with working with specific athletes, support them through the competition in the warm-up area on the chair, do debriefs with them, and then report right at the end. And the biggest takeaway? Well, we've also, so aside from being a big year for Karate1, we've also got the new rules. So, and the Series A, the changes in the whole deal. But really with the rules, really the biggest thing that we were making sure the athletes understood was the new Senshu rule. So the first point advantage. I think we haven't done a full analysis, but it is changing the way the athletes are fighting. So there's far more action. There's anecdotally, the athletes are saying they're working harder. Like they really have to fight hard because until Senshu is achieved, then the action's really vigorous until that point. Then I noticed there was a bit of a lull, but now the one that's behind is really 2 points. If it's just a single point that's scored, they're 2 points behind. Yeah. So they got to get it up. When the times I saw Senshu obtained with a 3-point technique, the opposing athlete is 4 points behind.
Yeah.
So it's like they just go. So it's way much more vigorous. So I really like it. It's changing, I think, the face.
Did it change the finals? Did they have an extended extra minute, and did you find it?
No. I never saw any extra minutes.
Yeah, I didn't see any in the video.
It is purely, it was achieved either the win through Senshu or through point differential. There was no 8-point spread in the finals. I only saw a couple matches with an 8-point spread. Actually, one of our athletes, Daniel, won 8 points over his Japanese opponent, Honda, in the first round.
What was the best fight you saw?
Oh. Well, I'll have to come back to that one. Damn,
or best technique? Best technique?
If you can score a head kick at this event, you're on. Like, it's very hard. The athletes are very agile. Their eyes are always open. So to get in with that. So anytime I saw a 3-point head kick, it was something. I would say maybe 1 in 20 matches that's being scored.
What would you say was probably the thing that surprised you most, whether it's from the actual competition itself or the athletes and how they approached it? What do you think? What were you kind of most surprised about in all your experience?
Well, I'll come back to the Japanese team just showing up.
Sure.
Usually when they come, it's with a handful. They're elite players. They're coming, my analysis, they're coming just to test themselves against the world. And usually it's just their A team. But I happened to be standing in the registration. So the registration was horrendous. It took 3 hours for us to get through this time. But when the Japanese team was weighing in, that's when I got the first indication how many there were. And really to bring over 40, they brought, I think, their A, B, and C and D team. There were 5 or 6 in the top for kata. So their kata was super deep.
Yeah, I think the top 5 were all from Japan.
Yeah. So, so for me, that's just showing how seriously they're taking it. I mean, they're going to have one. It sounds like one per division qualified already, but if they're showing up with that numbers, then there's something going on that their quadrennial plan is really kicking off this year, and probably they'll start big and then narrow down over the next 2 years.
Well, in 2013-14, when they were getting organized, they're literally saying, like, there are bags of money if it gets approved, right? Because that's when they were saying, hey, come help us get organized, right?
Yeah.
You know, so it was quite amazing. The pictures of them cleaning up afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, that's typical of Japan. Like you clean up afterwards, you know?
And so we had 2 athletes in the finals. So I was there in the warm-up room at, 2 hours before the end, and it was really messy. Like, it's really surprising. You know, a surprise?
Yeah.
That was a really messy room.
Wow.
Yeah, good for them for cleaning it.
So back to, well, tell us about an athlete that you were coaching and how they did and what happened. Yeah.
Well, I sat for a few athletes, and we never, you know, just the way things roll. There's only 2 kumite coaches, 1 kata coach, and invariably you will have 4 athletes and only 3 coaches, or 3 athletes and only 2 coaches. So we had to switch a little bit. So I sat with Daniel Gazinski, who's our heavyweight fighter. He didn't place, and as everybody knows, you don't place unless you make it into the repechage. But these divisions are so deep that if you can go 4 rounds like he did, you're achieving something, even though you're not there. So
get him like a best 16 or a best 8, or
you don't even get that. You know, you're only. I mean, depending on how you.
Oh, definitely. If you drop to repechage, you would not be. But
yeah. So when you're in repechage, you're going to get 11th, 9th, 7th, 5th. 3rd, somewhere in there. But if you're not in there, then you're really not even on, they don't really even place you. But Daniel fought really well. He was the only fighter that I saw make an 8-0 win. And I think in his match, I was just doing some analysis. So he went 4 rounds. And I think in his 4 rounds, he scored over 18 points and only had 2 scored on him. Actually, both the other bronze medalists, Haya and Katie, also had similar records. I think Haya scored 21 points and had 2 on her, and Katie scored 18 points and had 3 on her. So they're doing really well. You know, they can defend when they want to defend, and they can make points when they want to make points, which is what we need.
Mm-hmm. Other countries, other matches, other coaches, anything that you thought that's interesting? I want to watch that.
Well, Stanislav Haruna, as always, for me, is from Ukraine, is always dynamic, and he went through to the finals, I'm pretty sure. You know, one thing kind of in the studies that I'm doing, I've been looking at the volatility of the podium in our repechage system. So we can thinking back to the Worlds, we had 2 previous world medalists who were out in either the first round or the second round. And then the athlete that beat them was done within the next round. So they're knocked out right away. So the best matches are not always into the finals. But really anything with when you look at the rankings, any fight with the top 5 in the rankings is going to be pretty dynamic. Some win by just 1 point, like the Iranian guy that won the heavyweight. All of his matches were 2-0 or 3-0. That's it. Other guys, again, like Daniel, he's pretty happy to just keep fighting. Even when he's 5 ahead, he just wants another point, another point, and another point. So it's either excitement by, is he going to go again? Or it's excitement by, yeah, he's going again. And he's got another 2 points, another 3 points.
How much of it did Agi go?
No, he was there, but he was coaching. He was kind of supporting. Azerbaijan, I think, showed up with a handful of athletes. Kazakhstan as well is big. They're all kind of training together. Yeah, he was just walking around.
Actually, I noticed that a lot of the top players weren't there. You know, Douglas Brose wasn't there, I don't think.
Nope.
Agiev wasn't there. Of course, Araga was there and won his minus 84 kilogram. So it was just kind of interesting to see that some of the top players, you know, passed up on this one. Well,
and that's actually when you asked me about something surprising. So usually in those off Worlds years, which we are in, the attendance at the Paris Open and a lot of the early season, or in fact all of them, the Karate1s is much lower. So interesting that this one was so large, which again I think has to do with the announcement and maybe the thinking that it's we're on the beginning of a quadrennial rather than an annual plan. But yeah, there were a lot that weren't there. Busa wasn't there also.
Henry, do you know what a quadrennial is? Henry listens to our podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you want to describe what a quadrennial is?
Oh, so quadrennial is just a 4-year plan versus an annual plan. And generally Olympic sports work off 4-year plans.
He's screaming at the microphone. I know that. I was on my spelling list last week.
Oh.
All right. What are your 3 things of advice if you want to train to be at that level? What do you tell people right now out there listening to this? I want to be at that level. Other than come to Kenzen's new 5 days a week sports karate training starting from March 1st.
Yeah, it's interesting you say. So for sure be fit enough to be there. So that's something every athlete has to be able to go 4, 5 rounds, 6 rounds. And, again, for those people listening with the repechage, you may go through eliminations, 1, 2, 3 matches. Then you may have, in a large event like this, it was a couple hours before they scheduled the repechage. But when you're in the repechage, you are going in. If you win, you're going again. And so with the new rules, this was in the coach accreditation. So if you don't have to change colors, according to WKF, it's an equal rest for the equal match. So either 2 or 3 minutes. If you have to change colors, they'll give you 5 minutes, which is not much rest time if you've really exerted yourself. So you got to be fit. Next thing I would say is you got to be able to score techniques. So it's very hard, and Canadian athletes struggled for a long time really being able to score techniques in the European continent. So we know kind of regionally we can score points, provincially we can score, nationally we can score, but not always the case to take a national a technique that would score at a national level competition, particularly here in North America, and apply it to an international in Europe, it's not going to score the same point. So that's one of the reasons for me when I'm seeing our bronze medalists who are scoring 18 to 21 points, they know how to score now. Like it's a thing. So be fit, know how to score, and then really be mentally prepared for the travel, just being different time zones, different climates. The events are massive. The athletes there are mentally ready to fight. Like it is 100% a fight when you're out there, and the techniques are hard. Mentally, you have to be prepared to be struck too. So the contact, the face contact and the body contact is it's not causing concussion significant, but it's significant, and you're not getting points unless you're doing it.
That's right. You heard it from assistant national team coach Kraig Devlin. Be fit. We should talk about fitness every now and then. Yeah,
every now and again. Maybe we should have like a training tip or something.
A training tip. That would be a good idea. Yeah. Yes. People are rolling their eyes as we say that. Well, in his amazing busy time, I think you have to go.
I gotta go. Yeah.
Thank you very much to one of my bestest friends, Kraig, and we're gonna drag you on this thing again.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Happy to be here.
All right, thanks, Kraig.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hey, Kalan, in karate clubs, they're supposed to sometimes give a belt test.
Sometimes they are, yeah.
Shokyu Shinsa.
Is that belt test?
Shokyu means before black belt.
Okay.
Shinsa means test. Shinsa can be for anything, testing anything. Shodan Shinsa means for black belt.
Okay.
So every club should have a color belt. They call it grading. Do you guys used to call it grading?
We used to call it grading, yeah.
A grading. We'll grade you up a level. Yeah.
Actually, no, it was belt test.
Belt
I
test?
take that back. It was a belt test.
Bounces around.
Yeah.
Belt test, grading. Shokyu Shinsa. Color belt test. So we have them every now and then. When I was younger, it'd be like every 6 months.
Yeah.
And if you missed it, well, see you in 6 months.
That's right. It's kind of how it worked with me too, actually, coming up. It was probably about every 6 months as well.
Yeah. It's funny because we, in our club now, we do it every 2 months. Not the same people go. It's just when people are ready.
Sure.
So, if you're ready, we do it to qualify, you have to be in enough classes.
Yes.
And we can track that on a computer system. So, for going for the very first test, they have to have a minimum of 20 classes. That doesn't mean they're going to be ready, but they can't even talk to us about it until they've made the number of classes.
Right.
Then we go white, yellow, orange, red, green, blue, purple, browns with black stripe, black. And it's funny when the kids come in, they go, hey, my buddy at school. I told him our belt cards. He goes, we've got it all wrong. I actually had this recently. One kid's like, my friend says we've got it all wrong. I told my friend our list of belt colors. He told his karate instructor, and his karate instructor told him to tell me to tell you that we have it all wrong. I'm like, oh, we do. Well, what did they say? They said red is not allowed to be included. It's not allowed.
We never had in Shidoru when we started. We didn't have a red either.
When I started, there was no red or purple.
Yeah, we didn't have purple
or a black stripe.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, every club does it differently. It's actually the color of the belt is just to show you're moving up, but actually it's the Q rank.
Yeah, yeah.
Hap Q 8, Nana Q 7, Rope Q, Go Q, Young Q, San Q, Ni Q, EQ. And my instructor in Japan, my sensei, you go white to blue.
Okay, kind of like a jiu-jitsu model. That's what jiu-jitsu does.
Do you go blue first?
Yeah, white to blue. Yeah.
So it was. I think it's blue, maybe orange, green, brown, then black. And I think each color has 2 or 3 Q. Okay. Because there's only 8 or 9 Q before you get to the black belt, and then there's Shodan, Nidan, Sandan, Yodan, Godan, up to normally 8th. So we got a test for these bad boys. I want to talk just quickly about, well, how you should test for it. And Kalan, I think the number one thing is you've got to be, well, number 2 things. These are 2 things for sure. You've got to be 2 things for sure.
So that's the number 1 or the number 2?
This is the first part of 2.
Okay.
Okay?
1A.
1A.
Okay.
Then I'll say 9C. You got to be rehearsed.
Oh, really? So you have to practice?
You have to practice.
Oh, who would have thunk?
Because, you've probably heard people go, that person shouldn't have passed. I think you have to rehearse. You have to come up, and even if you look bad, at least you look bad and rehearsed.
Yeah.
At least you look smoking amazing. Well, your technique might not be on, and you might not understand how you're applying it to your body, but you got to look rehearsed.
At least you knew the moves.
At least you do the moves.
Yeah.
It's like if going into a competition. You can't stop and go, wait a minute. Just give me a second here.
Yeah. Can I restart?
Can I restart? Or look at the floor and go, okay, one is, you got to come in rehearsed. Like, you do it. You get sick of it, do it again. Did I ever tell you the story of my good friend Johnny and learning kata?
Yes, where you did it over and over again. You used to do it in the streets. You did it
Did we say this on the podcast?
Yes, we did.
Okay,
yeah.
So you know the story about Johnny. So that you've got to be rehearsed.
Yeah.
Then comes 1B. Then you got to want it.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to want it. You got to really want it. You got to get up there and look like you really, really want to pass.
Yeah.
It's a performance test.
When kids or whoever are going for a test or whatever it is, when they say, oh, I'm nervous. I'm really nervous. I always say, well, that's good. That means you want it. That means it actually matters to you. So the nerves are good. So absolutely, you need to actually want it. And you should be nervous about it. It is a step that you're trying to achieve. So absolutely.
What's that thing before you compete where you feel like your blood pressure drops? There's a thing where you get nervous, you feel heavy, your heart might be racing, but there's almost like you feeling a drained feeling of nervousness,
I'd say just nerves. I don't know.
Just nerves?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm familiar with the feeling, but
yeah,
I
know how you feel,
I wouldn't
like
know
awkward?
what you would call it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, be rehearsed. You really got to want it. And one thing I've been trying to do is not talk about the belt test in the class. I've been trying to say okay, you've got to do it like this because this is the function for it.
Yeah.
For example, there was an adult tonight who's been helping out a lot. Big shout out to Aaron. And he was practicing one of the moves in the kata. And I said, this move is to use your body to block and your arm is loose. When your arm is loose, use your momentum to block, right? So put my arm out. So he did it. Boom. My arm didn't move. Come on. Boom. And he started muscling it. Still didn't move. So then I said, no, use your body. And I would do it to him. Blink, boing, 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 his arm would pop away. Okay, so get that. And then right away he started figuring it out. And now he's rehearsing it, right? But I didn't talk about the test. I tried to talk about the application of the technique.
Sure.
This is why it's going to work, right? Yeah. So for a belt test. And the other one is, if I do that, I think I can really help them get over the line. But they have to really want it. Yeah. The other one is, don't train for a belt test when you're also trying to compete in a really high level tournament.
For sure.
Or make a state or provincial rep team.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's something that we talked about when we were talking about the scheduling as well, right? Like we should have a stream or whatever where you're doing competition for this couple months, whatever it is, and then maybe when you're going for your belt test, okay, now you're training for your belt test. So no, that makes sense. You know, what's your priority for this term or whatever?
Exactly, because we've had some fantastic guys doing both at the same time, and the results could be better, I think, on either side had they just focused on one thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just focus on one thing.
Yeah.
So it's don't mix up the messages.
Yeah.
Do you think doing karate belt tests has any benefit?
Oh, absolutely. I think, I mean, the feeling you get when you get your new belt is pretty good for sure. And you do get that feeling of satisfaction and that you're growing. It's a physical thing that you can see you're getting better, you know? And then all of a sudden you're part of the next group. Oh, well, now I'm with the green belts. I get to move up in the line a little bit at beginning of class. Yeah, for sure. I think it's absolutely got benefits all across the board, for sure. You know, when I was, coming up and doing belt tests, I can't think of any time off the top of my head right now when anybody for a color belt test, not including black belt test, had to do a retest. As far as I can remember, everybody that went for their belt test passed. I'm probably wrong, and I'm sure there was probably some that did, but none that I can think of off the top of my head. So, interesting.
Yes, it is interesting. My old club, everybody always passed. But when I started training in the Wadokai, the percentage goes down. Yeah. The further you go up.
Sure.
Kraig said something great today at the end of one of the tests that we did. He said it's important to learn how to perform on demand. To be able to feel the pressure and get up and really and have prepared for something and really do it well. And then you can go out there into the world and understand, hey, I did this in karate class. I know what it's like to perform on demand.
For sure, yeah.
Which is exactly what Kakia sensei would teach all the middle school kids when we used to. Kakia sensei and I used to teach karate to all the middle school kids in the Tokyo school we were in. The kids would take a budo class, a martial arts class. Actually, for a while there, the girls were doing dance and the boys all had to do martial arts. And then the conservative Japanese government said, no, the girls have to do martial arts too. They can do dance as well in the week or whatever, but they all have to do martial arts. And he would say, you're doing karate to go through puzzles and obstacles in your mind.
Right, yeah.
Using your body. Like the kata is an obstacle course and these are puzzles. And if you really put your spirit into it, you'll do it. And if you yell really loud, you will. And then you go into the job world and you have to work to survive. And these are the same skills you want to be able to utilize.
For sure. No, I think there's absolute benefit in working towards something, setting the goal and working towards it, and then getting up and having to do the performance. And even if you don't nail it or you do, if you nail it, it's great. You achieved what you had to do. If you didn't, well, you've probably learned something along the way and you know what you have to do for the next time. So those are all beneficial things.
That's right. Perform on demand. It sounds like a Netflix or something, like watch on demand. Perform now, do it. Well, we had a self-defense workshop. Did I tell you about that?
Well, I knew we had a self-defense workshop, but you didn't really tell me much about it. No.
Yeah, we had a self-defense workshop, and I was talking about we did all kinds of things, and perform on demand came up because if you're following this is a very famous way of looking at self-defense is be aware of what's around you, what situation you're getting into, so that you can avoid being in something that you shouldn't be in. And if you are in something you shouldn't be in, you have to escape. If you can't escape, you got to fight your way out to escape, right? And in self-defense, there's a million what ifs. So at the end of the day, you really don't know if you're going to have to defend yourself. And it could be, hey, I'm having a wonderful day. I got to defend myself now.
Yeah.
And you have to perform on demand.
For sure. Absolutely.
So some of the people who took the course were still, they weren't in karate yet, right? Or not going to be in karate. So we had to show them you have to turn it on in an instant and then be able to turn it off. And it was interesting to see people turn it on, okay, get really aggressive and stuff. And then they had a hard time calming their nerves down.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you turn it on, you turn it off. It's your heart rate will go up and you'll be breathing hard and excited, but you know how to get your brain, stay activated, but in your brain stay cool.
For sure. Yeah.
So that's kind of a neat thing about kata and doing kumite and stuff. Yeah. So in the old days, they would just hand you a certificate and say, hey, you've been training long enough. Here's your here's your certificate. Here's your new belt. Your Menkyo Kaidan means you're now able to teach the whole syllabus the way we like it. But I like the idea of a little bit of pressure. There's your style belt, but then in Japan, there's the Zenkoden, Japan Karate Federation testing, and they're way more strict. Like you go, I'm an amazing 4-3 black belt in my style. And then you go stand in front of the Zenkoden, and they go, okay, show us your Goju style. And you do it, and they go, yeah. Come back next year and try your first degree black belt again. That's how intense it is.
Wow.
And, we just chatted with Kraig, how, what was it, the top 5 people at the Paris Open were all from Japan?
For men's
kata,
kata.
For men's kata, right? Yeah. That's why.
Yeah,
totally. They put that pressure on.
It makes sense, yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for episode 21. Dai Niju Ichi.
Dai Niju Ichi. Yeah.
Or Niju Ichi episodo. That was fantastic. We got some great information.
Yeah.
It's cool to hear from Kraig about a big event that just happened.
Absolutely. No, it was great having Kraig on. And again, thanks, Kraig, for coming in and talking to us and giving us his experiences at the Karate1 Paris Open. It was great.
Right on. So after this, ladies and gentlemen, you will hear it. You will enjoy it. Definitely get back to us about stuff you want to hear about as well. Email us, follow us on Twitter, follow us on social media. And next time we're going to be talking about over 100 athletes that you've seen jump and kick and do all kinds of things.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have some things to talk about. That's for sure.
Right on.
Yeah.
So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Henry, I know you're still listening. Thanks a lot for listening to this episode. And remember, February 15th at www.karatebc.org. Did you catch that? karatebc.org on February 15th, day after Valentine's. You will see the registration information for the first inaugural Canada Open Karate Championships. You could be the Canada Open champion. That's it for me.
There it is, episode 21 in the books. Don't forget, these come out Monday mornings. Like us, subscribe to all our stuff, karate360podcast.com for all the latest Karate 360 news. Thanks, guys, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
I'm Richard Mosdell.
And I'm Kalan Anglos. We're signing off.
San Rokumaru.